Cleopatra versus Rome, the seduction that shook the world. A throne, a crown, and a dangerous game. In the heart of the ancient world, where empires rose and fell, with the clash of swords and the whisper of intrigue, one woman dared to challenge the might of Rome not with legions, but with beauty, wit, and ambition. Her name was Cleopatra VII Philopator, last queen of Egypt. It was not an army that brought her face to face with Rome's greatest leaders, but a calculated seduction. She captivated Julius Caesar, then Mark Antony, two of the most powerful men alive, and in doing so, placed herself at the center of a political storm that would change history forever. But was she Egypt's savior, fighting for her kingdom's survival? Or was she a master manipulator, willing to entangle the fate of nations in the web of her desires? To understand, we must go back to the beginning, before the love affairs, before the wars to the making of a queen. Part 1. The Birth of a Queen. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE into the ruling Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt, a Greek family descended from one of Alexander the Great's generals. Though she would come to embody Egypt in the world's eyes, her bloodline was Macedonian, not native Egyptian. Her early life was steeped in palace intrigue. Her father, Ptolemy XII Auletes, was a weak and often absent ruler, more comfortable playing the flute than ruling. When he died, Cleopatra, barely 18, ascended to the throne alongside her younger brother Ptolemy XIII, whom she was required to marry according to dynastic custom. From the start, her reign was unstable. The court split into factions, and within a few years she was driven from Alexandria. Alone, with little more than her intelligence and ambition, Cleopatra plotted her return. And that was when Rome entered her life not as a lover, but as a force she would have to reckon with. Part 2. Entered Julius Caesar. The year was 48 BCE. Julius Caesar had just defeated Pompey the Great in the Roman Civil War and pursued him to Egypt, only to find Pompey murdered on the orders of Ptolemy XIII's advisors. Alexandria was in chaos. Cleopatra saw her chance. In one of history's most famous acts of political theater, she had herself smuggled into Caesar's quarters, wrapped in a carpet, or perhaps a linen sack, as some sources suggest. The legend of the carpet is irresistible. A young queen emerging dramatically before the most powerful man in Rome. Whether by charm, intelligence, or calculated seduction, Cleopatra won Caesar's support. Together, they ousted Ptolemy XIII, who drowned in the Nile while fleeing battle. Cleopatra reclaimed her throne, now ruling alongside another younger brother, Ptolemy XIV. She was also pregnant with Caesar's child. Part 3. Queen and Caesarion. In 47 BCE, Cleopatra gave birth to a son, Ptolemy XV, nicknamed Caesarion, Little Caesar. She claimed he was the son of Julius Caesar, though Caesar never officially acknowledged him. Caesar invited Cleopatra to Rome, where she caused a sensation. Draped in luxurious Egyptian silks and glittering jewels, she stayed in Caesar's villa across the Tiber. Romans were fascinated and scandalized by the foreign queen in their city. Statues of Cleopatra appeared in public temples. Whispers spread through the Senate. Caesar, already declared dictator for life, seemed dangerously enthralled by her. For conservative Romans, this was more than gossip, it was a threat. A queen of the East was influencing the master of Rome. Part 4. The assassination that changed everything. On the Ides of the 4th of March, 4 BCE, Caesar was murdered by senators who feared he aimed to be king. Cleopatra, still in Rome, suddenly found herself without her protector. She returned to Egypt, her position more precarious than ever. She eliminated Ptolemy XIV, likely by poison, making Caesarion her co-ruler. But Rome's shadow loomed large over Egypt, and soon, another Roman power broker would arrive to fill the vacuum left by Caesar. Part 5. The Meeting with Mark Antony. In 41 BCE, Mark Antony summoned Cleopatra to Tarsus to explain her loyalty, or lack thereof, to Rome during the recent conflicts. She did not arrive as a supplicant. She came sailing up the Cydnus River on a golden barge, dressed as the goddess Isis, with perfumed sails and musicians playing. Antony, a man of appetite and charisma, was captivated. Cleopatra entertained him lavishly, and their political alliance quickly turned personal. Antony spent the winter in Alexandria, reveling in Egypt's luxuries and Cleopatra's company. For Cleopatra, Antony was not just a lover. He was a shield against Rome's ambitions and a partner in her dream of restoring Egypt's former glory. For Antony, she was a queen who could finance his campaigns and offer him the kind of power Caesar had once wielded. Part 6. The Queen of the East and the Master of the West. Over the next decade, Antony and Cleopatra's partnership deepened. She bore him 3 children. He granted her territories once held by the Ptolemies, expanding her influence beyond Egypt. But in Rome, Octavian Caesar's adopted heir watched with growing suspicion. He portrayed Antony as a man bewitched by an Eastern temptress, willing to betray Roman values for her sake. The propaganda war began. Cleopatra was painted as a seductress, plotting to rule Rome from Alexandria. Part 7. The Road to Actium. In 32 BCE, Octavian declared war not on Antony directly, but on Cleopatra. It was a masterstroke of politics, framing the conflict as Rome defending itself from a foreign queen. The decisive battle came in 31 BCE at Actium, a naval clash off the coast of Greece. When Cleopatra's ships retreated, Antony followed, abandoning his forces. Whether this was a strategic move or a disastrous impulse driven by love, it sealed their fate. Octavian's forces crushed the remnants of Antony's fleet. The lovers fled to Egypt, their empire of dreams collapsing around them. Part 8. The Final Act. In 30 BCE, Octavian invaded Egypt. Facing defeat, Antony fell on his sword. Mortally wounded, he was brought to Cleopatra, dying in her arms. Cleopatra, unwilling to be paraded through Rome as a captive, prepared for her own end. Ancient accounts say she arranged for a venomous asp to be smuggled into her chamber in a basket of figs. With her attendants, she ended her life, dressed in her royal finery. Egypt fell to Rome, and with it, the Hellenistic age came to a close. Caesarion was captured and executed on Octavian's orders. Part 9. Queen, Lover, Legend. Was Cleopatra the victim of Roman propaganda, a capable ruler smeared as a temptress to justify conquest? Or was she truly the manipulative queen Octavian described, using love as a weapon? What is certain is that she was no passive figure. She navigated the brutal politics of her time with intelligence, ambition, and courage, holding her throne for 2 decades while greater kings and generals fell. Her image endures. The queen who seduced Rome's greatest men, not merely for passion, but for power, and who, in the end, refused to bow to the empire that conquered her. Somewhere on the banks of the Nile, in the golden glow of memory, Cleopatra still stands, a symbol of beauty, ambition, and the dangerous games that can shake the world.